and Dr. Masito Pormo. Before we go ahead with the speeches, we would like to switch off the mobile phones or to sit in silence. Thank you. For approximately the next 3 hours, we're going to have the first block of keynote speakers, speeches, then we'll have a short coffee break for 15 minutes and at 12 o'clock, and then we'll continue to the second block of keynote speeches, and then after a lunch break, we'll have the first session of paper presentations, which will take place from 3:30 until 5:30 p.m. And then again, after a 15-minute coffee break, the second session of paper presentations will be conducted from 5:50 p.m. until 7:50 p.m. We also would like to invite you to attend the awards night and the closing ceremony from 7:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. There'll be some entertainment for you, some traditional Indonesian dance performance, and of course also you'll get a chance to mix and mingle with other guests of this conference.
We first opened this conference with the opening remarks by the head of the Organizing Committee, the president of TPI German, or the Indonesian Students' Union in Germany, the initial ambassador for the Republic of Germany, an opening speech from Dr. Ingo, president of the German. We are now going to listen to the head of the Organizing Committee of Hartono 2014, Mr. Dharmaji Suradika.
His Excellency Dr. Engineer Fauzi Bowo, the Ambassador of Indonesia, the Federal Republic of Germany, and the Honorable Professor Agus Rubianto, Education and Cultural Attaché of the Indonesian Embassy of the Federal Republic of Germany, and the Honorable Mr. Fatah Hardibinang, Third Secretary, Culture and Press Section, Indonesian Embassy of the Republic of the Federal Republic of Germany, and the Honorable Mr. Dr. Ingo Friedrich, former Vice President of the European Parliament and the Chairman of European Movement Bavaria, and the Honorable keynote speaker, Mr. Dipl, Josef, Mr. Gerhard, and Mr. Dr. Hartono, and all the presenters and observers. Welcome to Auditorium 2014, the first international conference of integrated intellectual community. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everybody. In the beginning of my speech, I would like to thank for everyone who has been supporting this event until this moment. So, welcome, Mr. Gerhard, Merkel. In the beginning of my speech, I would like to thank everyone who has been supporting this event until this moment, so we are now can start this event properly. To the keynote speaker, to all of the guests, to all of the sponsors, and to all of the presenters and observers, thank you for coming. And not to forget, I would like to thank to my outstanding team who has prepared this event since last year. Ladies and gentlemen, the idea of this event arose from our awareness as an Indonesian student in Germany. Our country will face a big challenge in 2015 with the creation of Asian Economic Community. We realize, ready or not ready, able or not able, we will face Asian Economic Community in 2015. We believe that in this globalization era, we individuals cannot walk alone. We have to cooperate in the competition. Because of that, let's work together as a unity to increase the global competitiveness for our nation. Today, we came together, meet together, and we hope that at the end of the event, we will have a new friend to share opinions from the other perspective. We hope that today we can get a valuable knowledge from this event that can be applied in our country. I hope that the spirit of the youth can bring a better chance for our country. A wise man asked me, why can the sun shine so bright? And I had no answer. Then this guy answered, because the spirit of the youth is used as a source of its power. So thank you for your attention, and I wish you all pleasant and enjoyable conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much. We're now going to listen to the President of TPI German, Mr. Hartono.
Good morning, everyone. His Excellency Dr. Engineer Fauzi Bowo, Ambassador of Indonesia to the Republic of Germany, the Honorable Professor Dr. Agus Sugianto, Education and Culture Attaché of the Indonesian Embassy in Germany, the Honorable Mr. Fatah Hadiwinangun, Third Secretary Cultural and Press Section of the Indonesian Embassy in Germany, the Honorable Dr. Ingo Friedrich, former Vice President of the European Parliament and currently President of the European Union Bavaria, and our honorable keynote speakers, Dr. Engineer Josef, Mr. Dr. Hartono, Dr. Gerhard Merkel. Welcome to ICOMIC 2014. I first would like to thank the whole committee that has made this event possible to happen, to our sponsors, the AAD, Stadt Nürnberg, Indonesia-Nürnberg, Indonesian Embassy, who have helped us a lot in realizing this event. Big thanks to Siemens that have helped us also. And we as Indonesian students in Germany always wanted to help actually, and how to promote growth in Indonesia and also in other emerging countries, in other third world countries. And this is one of the things that we can do, which is gathering people from all over the world to this place to discuss on how to increase the global competitiveness from so many perspectives: politics, economics, cultural, infrastructure, human resources, education, of course. And we really hope that this forum can enable us all to exchange knowledge, information, and know-how on to make it really possible. My colleague, Mr. Dharmaji Suradika, has mentioned before that we are facing the ASEAN Economic Community in 2015. It's really a big challenge for us in ASEAN, in Indonesia particularly. We hope that we are not too late because it's already next year, but we are optimistic that when we do it all together as one integrated community, we can prepare ourselves better. And later in the sessions, we will have more detailed discussions and paper presentations. I hope we can have a really engaging discussion. Also in the keynote speaker session, please ask questions, anything that you want to ask, anything that you want to know from all these extraordinary gentlemen in front of you. And let's have a great day today. Let's have a really engaging day, inspiring day, so that we can face the ASEAN Economic Community better and also promote growth in our countries from wherever we come from. Thank you and welcome to ICOMIC 2014.
May I now call upon the Indonesian Ambassador for the Federal Republic of Germany, His Excellency Dr. Fauzi Bowo, please to deliver his remarks.
Sehr geehrter Dr. Friedrich, sehr geehrter Dr. Merkel, Pak Josef, Pak Dr. Washington, and der Representative Repräsentant des Präsidenten Georg-Simon-Ohm Universität, Professor Agus Fatah, Vorstand der Indonesischen Studentenvereinigung in Deutschland, para peserta Teilnehmer dieser Konferenz. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, selamat pagi. Dan dieser Konferenz in südlichen Teil Deutschland. Grüß Gott. Es ist mir eine große Freude, heute bei dieser wichtigen Veranstaltung, die Indonesian International Conference of Integrated Intellectual Community, einige Worte an Sie richten zu dürfen. Die heutige Veranstaltung, organisiert von PPI Deutschland, bietet den jungen indonesischen Studenten die Gelegenheit, ihre Zukunft zu gestalten und die nationalen Entwicklungen ihres Heimatlandes Indonesien beizutragen. In diesem Sinne möchte ich der Stadt Nürnberg und auch der Georg-Simon-Ohm Universität meinen aufrichtigen Dank für die großzügige Unterstützung aussprechen, die sie den Studenten der indonesischen Vereinigung PPI zukommen lassen. In dem gleichen Sinne bedanke ich mich bei den Ressortpersonen Dr. Merkel, Dr. Friedrich, Pak Winter und Pak Dr. Washito für ihr Engagement, den indonesischen Studenten zu ermöglichen, ihr Wissen und Know-how zu bereichern. Es freut mich ebenfalls außerordentlich, die indonesischen Studentenvereinigung Deutschland, PPI, in die ich vertraue und auf die ich sehr stolz bin, zu beglückwünschen für die Initiative dieser Konferenz zu veranstalten. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia and Germany have long tradition of constructive engagement at the higher education level. German universities have always been a coveted place of academic studies and researches for Indonesian students and researchers alike. Many Indonesian alumni of German universities have occupied key positions in the national development efforts of Indonesia, both in public and private sectors. The most prominent among them is certainly our former president, Professor Habibie. The comprehensive partnership between Indonesia and Germany, which was sealed in Jakarta 2012, also identifies and emphasizes higher education and research as one of the top priorities areas of bilateral cooperation. There are more than 50 cooperations between universities and research institutes currently ongoing. We are also in a process of building centers of excellence, focuses on various disciplines and studies. In the wake of this important development, an avenue of a number of trend-setting projects was laid, opening a path also for the German industry to engage in cooperation with Indonesia in many fields and areas. On the other hand, the government of Indonesia has introduced numbers of promotional measures within the framework of this cooperation. From the economic point of view, with the increasing buying power of the expanding middle class of the total population of 250 million, the abundance of natural resources, the strategic location of Indonesia in Southeast Asia, and on top of that, the young labor force that we have in Indonesia. Indonesia is certainly an ideal venue for business and industrial engagement for foreign investors, including Germany. It's also worth to note that Indonesia economy, according to McKinsey, would be the 7th largest of the world by the year 2030. I see here a great opportunity for the Indonesian students pursuing their academic studies abroad, including Germany, to employ their acquired skill and know-how in productive manner. This highly sophisticated alumni should also be considered as a valuable and indispensable asset for foreign investors operating in Indonesia. This cooperation represents a very fine example of mutual benefit, fulfilling each other's interests, needs, and requirements. An exemplary initiative in this context was conducted in Berlin 2013 during the state visit of our then president to Germany. The diaspora meeting has gathered Indonesian resident professionals and scores of students in Germany engaged in many fields of action. And this intellectual group has spent many years studying, doing research at institutions of higher learning in Germany, while they also have well adapted themselves to the culture of the host country, respecting its tradition. They have at the same time also continued to nurture the bond of their mother country in their hearts and minds. The next Diasporas of Germany's meeting is scheduled to be held next week in Berlin. Right? Next week. Where the intellectual communities of Indonesia and Germany will get together and discuss the way and means to channel their intention and desire to create a new, modern Indonesia. Dear participants, the theme of this conference, as also mentioned by the MC, is a global competitiveness and developing nations, a strategic approach towards holistic development. It is centered on 7 subtopics: economy and business, politics and governance, human resource development, science and technology, infrastructure development, social and welfare, and industrial development. This way, it offers an excellent forum to give an insight and guidance to Indonesian students in shaping their creative and constructive future. I am confident of their determination to contribute to the national development efforts of Indonesia as a community of sophisticated technology and know-how acquired through their academic engagement in Germany. I would also, ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to dedicate a few things to the Indonesian students who are present here today. Para mahasiswa yang saya cintai, you have been given the opportunity today to explore your chances of how you can contribute to shaping the future development of your country. I sincerely hope that you will constructively use this golden opportunity to further your endeavor and deepen and broaden the horizon of your knowledge, experience, and expertise. Please be reminded that you are a valuable asset of Indonesia. As such, you're given the chance to further your career, but also that your country has a vested hope in you for your contribution to develop your Ibu Pertiwi. We are very proud of you. Rasa bangga saya secara khusus saya sampaikan kepada PPI Jerman, di mana saya juga pernah menjadi anggota pengurusnya beberapa tahun yang lalu, cukup lama, yang telah menyelenggarakan ikonik 2014 ini. Semoga sukses. In conclusion, I would like to emphasize that intellectuals are the engine of reform, and to create something new and to guide the way for a better Indonesia in the future. I'm convinced that Indonesian intellectual and students studying in Germany will duly satisfy the confidence and hope vested in them by the government and the people of Indonesia. In this respect, I would also like to thank the German government, and its people for the kind of an understanding and generous help and support rendered to our students. Ladies and gentlemen, at the very end, allow me to remind you all that next year, as the guest of honor of the Frankfurter Book Fair, Frankfurter Buchmesse 2015, Indonesia will get a strategic opportunity to show the world the rise of our national literacy to our cultural wealth. In the world of literature and culture, Indonesia will enjoy becoming the center of attention at this world-class event for books, literature and media. We kindly invite you all and request you all to support Indonesia in this event. Ich danke Ihnen vielmals für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. I would like to wish all the participants a successful conference. Ich wünsche allen Teilnehmern eine erfolgreiche Konferenz. Thank you. Vielen Dank. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, His Excellency Dr. Fauzi Bowo, for the speech. We're now going to listen to an opening speech by Dr. Ingo Friedrich, former Vice President of the European Parliament and current President of the European Movement of Veterans.
Honorable guests, especially dear students, Indonesian students in Germany, very happy to see you here in my home country. I studied here in Nürnberg, and especially my ambassador. We saw in Berlin last Thursday, Dr. Winter, Hoffenberger, Dr. Merkel. There was the name you know everybody, yeah? Angela and Dr. Maly, they rule Germany. And I tell you, we are in recent studies in Germany, and the program is standing speech in 9:45, and now it's 9:44. You see, this is the start. Punctuality, correctness, fighting, competition, and so on. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was asked to speak about European Union and ASEAN Pact. What is the difference? What is the similarity? And what could be the future? There are a lot of similarities, but there are also a lot of differences. For instance, in the European Union, a state can be overruled by majority. In ASEAN, it's not possible. So if Indonesia say no, it's no. In Europe, if England says no, it's not no. So we are aiming a little more like a state. European Union will not be a normal national state, but in many sense similar like a state. We have common laws, a common central court, and he's overruling the national sovereignty. And you can imagine, especially for UK, United Kingdom, to tell our British colleagues that between the Queen and God himself, there will be something in the middle. Unbelievable for British royals. So there are a lot of differences, but a lot of similarities. Another point is, look, we have the character to have an always closer union. So in our old history, we had some character similar. It was the old German realm or German empire in the middle of Europe would consist out of 120 little states. So we are used to have a combination between little states and a combination of states and common institutions. So the European Union has a common European Parliament. And I was there 30 years. Today I'm a member of honor of the European Parliament. but they are fighting nearly to be really a state. There are some parties, UKIP and Algeria, not in this sense, but we have become a hymn. Yeah? Who do know what is the European hymn? The Ninth Symphony of Beethoven. La 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 la. It's the most famous hymn of the world. Even in Japan, they are singing it in the Sylvester. So, it's important. And so let's go on. So it's a big learning process for our Europeans to learn to be a Bavarian, with God, and a German and a European. In former times, it's very easy to be. I was a German. My father told me, "You are German, and the others are different." And today we say, but the French are also something like we, Europeans. So this is a feeling, a big difference. And after the big Second World War, our founding fathers, they are our holy guests, like Adenauer, de Gaulle, de Gasperi. So if you hear that, that's the name we make. So, and they had the idea to make the United States of Europe like the United States of America. But this aim was too courageous. So we are now looking for being a global player, and we hope we have a peaceful character. And the European Union is also a member of the G8 summit. Now, Mr. Putin will, perhaps he will be invited or not, it will be in Bavaria, the next summit, in Garmisch, South Munich. And Helmut Kohl asked Angela, Mrs. Merkel, please invite Mr. Putin. Now Angela is not so she is more or less number one in Europe. And the last difference is if there's a summit in Brussels, then the parties have the pre-summit. So I am vice president of the European Party, so then our party members includes the Prime Minister of Portugal, Prime Minister of Spain, the head of state of France, the Prime Minister of Austria, and so on and so on. We meet before the official summit is taking place. And the feeling is like a European government. There was something now, Mr. Berlusconi, who was a special guest of Italy. And in this round he was very serious, correct? But it's a way of discussing like a European government. And everybody is saying you and so on. So this is the difference. And in the ASEAN, it's much more based on the national character of the states. It's more or less cooperation on a basis like in former times, groups of states always discuss. But in the European Union, the aim is much more to be more like a normal state, as a global player. Second point is such a building of group of states. Is this good or is this not good? I am convinced it's very, very important and it's very good for the global world because it reduces complexity, especially for you states, the complexity of the world in the 21st century is exploding. So to have a group of states reduces some sort the complexity. And there's a very important central point of economics. When I studied here in Nürnberg, in the second semester, there was the main discussion why this form of cooperation, we also call it in Europe, internal market, is important. This is the so-called, it comes from UK, the Ricardo theory. Ricardo looks like an Italian name, but he was British. He was before Adam Smith. Adam Smith is the founding father of the national economy theory. And Ricardo invented the Ricardo theorem. And this says, each reduction of borders between states, every reduction of borders, helps the economy. So in the internal market of Europe, if you have no borders at all, the effect is much more competition. That means for some small business, they have to be better. But on the otherwise, if they are good enough, they can export it from a small firm in Nürnberg to 1,000-kilometer distance their good products without borders. So the reduction of borders between states is an efficiency by itself. It doesn't cost money, no program to bring economy forward, nothing money, only reduce borders. But this means in practice not so easy, because there are a lot of unseen borders. Let's say we in Germany we have 10,000 or 100,000 technical laws. This is wonderful. If a firm in France doesn't agree with our technical norm, I'm sorry we have no border, but this product is not allowed to be sold. It's very easy. You make a law, which don't have borders, but you cannot sell it. So this unseen borders to reduce, this is the big problem. But if you can do it, it's a huge help. Now, German cars are sold in France, in Italy, everywhere, and vice versa. Ferrari of Italy, if it's a good car, they can be sold in Germany without any problem, because the standards are the same. So the next step of reducing the borders is to make common standards. And now we have a big discussion. If Europe will make the so-called treaty with America, then you have standards more or less of the whole Western world. And then there's a pressure that even China and even such big countries as Indonesia, 250 million inhabitants, citizens, unbelievable, 3 times Germany. Okay, that these standards are then very, very important. And groups of states also accepted the new feeling of life of the human being. In former times, my grandmother never left Germany, but my son, he had a nice lady in, a nice lady in Great Britain, an Indian lady, you know a lot of Indians are Indian. She looks extremely super. And the first question of my son was, if I marry her, he was much in love with her, what can I with the German education then work in Bristol in the United Kingdom? This question my grandmother never in her life did analyze. But today there are millions which live over the border. So, and therefore, grouping of states is an answer to this new form of living of citizens. And the last point is, if the Ricardo theory is right, and it's proved 100 times in the world, even Germany starts first in the 19th century. We call it this time, it's the Deutsche Zollverein. That means we reduced the Zölle, the custom, and the result was this between 1835 and then the common unification of the first German empire, 1871. We had all empires, but they were Roman empires, the first German empire, 1871. The reason for that blowing up of the country was the reduction between of the borders between these 120 little states. The abolishment of customs, explosion of the economy. And therefore, if you want to help developing countries, then indeed reduce customs, and you must then help that the small business and the citizens who are not able to be in this new form of competition, then you must be better universities, better experience, know-how transfer, and so on, to bring higher up the competition. And it goes. 50 years ago, if you would ask one of my farmers in Bavaria, the farm in Bavaria 50 years ago was similar to the farms in the developing countries. 2 cows, 10 persons in the family, one farmer, but 2 wives and 6 children, but 2 cows, yeah, 1 little house. And if you would say that you will make milk for United to New York, they would have said, yeah, today they make it. Cheese of Bavaria goes to the United States. They're not cows, a farm with 2 cows, a farm with 300 cows. And they learned in 50 years how to develop from a 2-cow farm to a 300-cow farm. It's a process of learning, but it functions. It's not easy, but it's possible. So I have I can stay for another 2 hours, but I think I will also be very, very correct. What sounds so easy is sometimes not so easy, because a lot of new challenges of the 21st century could not be solved on the national level. And this is also very difficult to learn for citizens and for government. Let's say 2 little examples. In Germany, we abolish now our atomic power to protect our cities. Okay, yeah, Fukushima. Yeah. What about now in the Czech Republic, 50 kilometers or 80 kilometers from here, and on the French Republic, there are bigger atom plants. Yeah, what is the protection of the German citizens? It's poor. Yeah? So the normal national state is not able to come along or to solve a lot of new challenges. And the second example is very, very active. And it is only 3 days old. It's a scandal, a huge scandal. That Luxembourg make national laws which give big firms the possibility to pay no tax. Now, Luxembourg said, we are a sovereign, a national state, we can do laws whatever we want. And the Germans say, are you crazy? We make the profit in Germany by a good population. Siemens is very honorable. Till now it's not in the list, but a lot of big firms are in the list. So the Germans say, we work, and we want to also they pay tax for the profit, and they go to give the profit to Luxembourg, and Luxembourg asks them to profit. So small firms pay taxes for the universities, for the streets, for the infrastructure, and the big rich firms pay no tax. What is this? You can imagine what this means. Yeah? Concerning also Swiss, we can make what we want. No, they cannot make what we want. So this is the problematic points. The first points are very easy. Oh, it's nice. But when you then go to the detail, there starts big problem. But this is normal in the 21st century. I tell you, in the 21st century, nearly no political decision is only advantage. Each decision has unavoidable a lot of disadvantage. It's also for the medical treatment. If you look on your medicine, even the best medicine has, we say in German, Nebenwirkung, that means, what? Side effects. Nobody wants the side effects, but they are there. Even if you are married, you don't get the side effects. No comment. Also, that means this cooperation of states helps the internal development. In Europe, we had even the experience that even small neighboring countries like Albania was very, very back. but it's not member of the European Union, but it's a neighbor of the European Union, and in the neighborhood of the European Union brings Albania in a much better situation. So, but the side effects, we cannot avoid the side effects. That a lot of national people say, what the hell are they doing in Brussels? We're 200, 500, 1000 years we are suffering, and now these idiots of Brussels don't accept what we are national deciding. So, and the Germans, they say, oh, we are so efficient, and now we have to pay for Greece and for Portugal and for Spain. What the hell do I have to pay for Spain and for Greece? This is the disadvantage of this story, yeah? But it's a good story. And in the 20th century, you have only the alternative to have a decision what is, let's say, 55% advantage and 45% disadvantage, or you can say yes or no. But sometimes it's necessary to say yes to the decision with 55% advantages and taking into account the side effects of 45%. No other alternative. So let's finish. I hope and I think that both ASEAN and the European Union make it's easier to bring stability in the world. We all are a lot of dependence from stability in the world, and each instability, like now in Ukraine, Russia, and especially the instability in Syria, this is negative for all of the citizens of the world. And to bring stability and to help persons, and what I say to my German fellows is, if we have stable and rich neighbors, it's better for Germany than to have unstable and poor neighbors. So pay for Portugal to make it stable and richer. Then the next generation is better. But to learn this is not so easy. But on the line, I'm happy that Indonesia is a very rational country in the Asian Pact, and we are happy that Indonesia plays a stable role in the world, and we want to be partner between Germany and Indonesia and Europe. So thank you that you are in my home city, Nürnberg, and good luck for your life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ingo. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Ingo, for delivering such an engaging address. Before we proceed to the first part of the keynote speeches, we would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Bowo and also Dr. Ingo to take a picture together. And also the Organizing Committee. Since this will be an official picture for the Organizing Committee, we would like to invite also all the keynote speakers and the honorable guests to be in the picture together.
Teman-teman, untuk
Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the first part of the keynote speeches, we would like to thank the following sponsors and organizations that have contributed to the iconic 2014. Siemens, the AAD, IS German,
the Indonesian Embassy of Germany, Indonesia-Nürnberg, PBI German, PBI Frankreich.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to listen to the keynote speeches delivered by Mr. Gerhard Merkel and Mr. Josef. But first of all, we would like to introduce you to Dr. Prof. Josef, our moderator for the keynote speakers.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for everyone to come here to Nürnberg, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. And I will be the moderator for the first and the second panel. And it's the first panel. Takes the theme about the global competitiveness in terms of human resource, industrial development, economics, and infrastructure. So in the first session, we will have two speakers. The first will be the Dr. Gerhard Merkel, and the second is Josef. Dr. Gerhard Merkel is the CEO of the Merkel and von Schweinitz GmbH, and he was also very politically active in the Chancellor in the healthcare of the Bundestag, the German parliament. And he is also lecturer in the International Communication, Negotiation and Management at the Business Administration Department in this university. And I would like to please Mr. Merkel to come forward and first. And now I will like to invite Mr. Winter to come to the board. And Mr. Winter is the CEO of Siemens, and he has also very large experience in East Asia. And now Mr. Winter is also Vice Chairman of the German-Indonesian Chamber of Industrial Commerce, ECONIT, and also the Vice Chairman of European Business Chamber of Commerce, also in Indonesia. The first presentation will be held by Mr. Merkel, so you have 30 minutes, but if you want more, so you just have to tell me. Thank you.
That's good? Yeah. Okay, first of all, it's my outstanding pleasure getting the opportunity here, gathering the ICONIC conference at my so-called university here in Nürnberg. And I may add to express a warm welcome first to the Excellency, Dr. Fauzi Bowo. He has met us several times at Jakarta, the site, and His Excellency, of course, Dr. Ingo Friedrich. And my outstanding pleasure too, and my honor to convey the best regards from my wife, the Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany, because I'm the hidden husband, you know. No thanks. Of course, in addition to that, it's also to express a warm welcome to the other distinguished guests and my dear friends and so on. Okay, let us start. Oh, sorry, maybe only one remark in addition. I'm a little bit happy to see that I just arrived yesterday from Jakarta directly, and we have met us last week in Jakarta also. I'm carrying a flu, hopefully you can hear me, and if there are any problems, please tell me. Okay, let's start. Yeah, I have only 30 minutes, and it's a very speedy one. Only a few sentences about my person. I'm the CEO, as mentioned, of the Merkel and von Schweinitz consulting company here in Germany. We have all the branch in Jakarta. It's so-called Merkel International Business, MIB. Some Indonesians called us Men in Black, but it's not correct. Yeah, only Merkel International Business. Yeah, our vision and maybe our slogan of our hopefully success in Indonesia for future benefit for Germany and Indonesia is a success for entry to Indonesia. For your kind information, my first visit to Indonesia was, my first visit in Indonesia was for about 24 years in business affairs, and so I can allege that I have gained many experience visiting all the time, not living permanently, but living partly in Indonesia. And I know, I'm so sure I know a little bit about the mentality and the culture. Very proud of being the culture of Indonesia. Okay. Only for your information, our previous and current activities in the business affairs in Indonesia. We are engaged in Bowo project and other examples regarding the infrastructure sector, but especially in the Bowo. We are working very close together with authorities and the ministries on the site in Gerhard. Maybe we will discuss the meaning and the importance of that project maybe later on. The second would stress all the energy. You know, maybe you agree that the energy problem maybe to solve the energy problem. It's a very, very big challenge at the present, and I think in the near future and midterm also. The new sector, we have conducted a study for a couple of months, and the result was that all those waste management problems, especially the big cities in Hartono like Indonesia, Surabaya, Medan, Kalipatan, Balikpapan, Samarinda, and so on, or Bantu, sorry, Bantu. It's a very big problem also, and hopefully we can deliver some good solutions, not only in technology and finance and so on, to make a good business. We are also involved in the aviation project. It's a big one in Batu in Jakarta. We have met Ilham Habibi's son 2 days ago in Jakarta. And also I think it's very, very important for the totally economy in Indonesia also to boost up the tourism sector, not only in Bali. Often I ask the German people and go, what about your knowledge? What do you know about Indonesia? And they ask me in general, Indonesia? That's Bali. Yeah, you know that people like me, yeah, Bali is not Indonesia, vice versa. You know, but 99% of all the German people know that a unique state, not only a unique state, it's only an independent state. Bali is not part of Indonesia, you know. And last one, we are responsible for advising and consulting German companies interested in coming to Indonesia to make business there. It's not easy, you know that, the authorities, bureaucracy, and so on. But our job is to advise and to consult with our mentioned German companies to be successful there. Yeah. Very speedy. Yeah, what about the fundamental data of the economics in Indonesia? I think you know it all better like me, but only some remarks regarding this development. The development in the past was undoubtedly very successful. We have had in Indonesia between the average between 6 or approximately between 6 or 7% per year a growth of the gross domestic product. You know, it was very successful. But you know that the current data, the current situation in Indonesia is not so good, not such a good one as in the past. Open words, you know, I'm a German. I like to talk very frankly and very honestly. But fundamentally, in my point of view, the weak, maybe the reduce of the GDP to I heard last week on the side by representatives of the Indonesian government. Now we expecting this year maybe 5% or less, approx. But I think it's not only an international phenomenon, it's an international one, because it's, in my point of view, first of all, it's caused by the international economic situation, especially the weakness of the Chinese economy, and it's a big and a very direct impact to the Indonesian industry, of course, because it added up that because you are very dependent on of the export of the commodities and so on, and all kinds of commodities. And that's, I think, that's the main factor that GDP will reduce this year, and hopefully, okay, the oil price, the next one, you are always dependent on the oil price. Before I visited Indonesia, I've had a business visit also in Oman, business in the Arabic states, in GCC region, and in Muscat, Oman. And also, we have discussed the same problem, also that they are very worried and very concerned about the reduce of the oil price from starting maybe at the beginning of this year, 105, 110, and now it's going down to 87, 77, 75, and so on. But it's an absolutely huge impact, you know. And what about the preview and the prediction of the Indonesian industry? In my point of view, in my opinion, if the new elected Indonesian government, led by Josef, I'm pretty sure when you're standing together, collecting all the strength and the power, and not discussing all the times, day and night, I'm so sure that we can not only take the weakness of the present Indonesian economy, but what we need, once again, that we are standing together, especially in all the consultants coming up all like this, and maybe some to avoid I have no right to give you advice or and so on, this is of your government. But I think I have a good, what I mentioned before, I've gained a lot of experience there. What's your big disadvantage is that your economy is primarily what I've mentioned before on the export of the commodities and therefore the prices of the market. Okay, but I'm sure that we can solve that problem. Maybe let us summarize my remarks and have a look to that a SWOT analysis, and I think it would be better to discuss today. The phrase on the one side, Indonesia is a very I think Indonesia has all what you can imagine regarding the commodity. I'm traveling all around Indonesia. You find oil, gas, coal. I was often in Kalimantan Timur. I have a good partner, Indonesian friend of mine, and we had a discussion last week in Jakarta and Sharjah. And we have discussed a new project in Kalimantan to convert coal, because coal is not, China mentions not eager to right now, they're eager to get a huge amount of coal right now because of the weakness of the Chinese. And now we have to think about a new chance for the coal and the good quality of the coal in Kalimantan. And now we have discussed the new issue and the new business model, once again, to convert coal to ammoniac and methanol, and in addition to gasoline. It's $2 billion project. Because the friend and business partner. He's a very famous guy in Kalimantan. He's the owner of 40 coal mines. With a deposit maybe for 10 million or 20 million and a half deposit. Yeah, you know. Yeah, coal. Not only coal in Kalimantan, in Sumatra also, Sumatra and so on. We do the traffic mine of the Urban Program. And you have bauxite. I have visited Pitang, the island before Singapore, and it's a huge bauxite mine there. Yeah, traveling vacation, have a look, and maybe to discuss also business chances. You know, you have silver, you have gold, minerals, you have a project in Sulawesi. Sulawesi Selatan, you know the importance of rare earth minerals for your computer, for your mobile, and so on and so on. In addition, you have all natural resources you can imagine. You have water, more than enough. The rainy season is now starting, you know. Don't go to Jakarta. Yeah. Yesterday I left, I mentioned, I was very happy rain starting now the rainy season till February, you know. And you have thermal energy. We have some projects in Sumatra Barat, in Solok. Absolute extraordinary chances. And let me summarize. Amazing landscapes. We have a project, two projects in Lombok. One is Kutamantalika, that's Indonesian tycoon, and on the west coast of Lombok. And also we are discussing projects in Sumatra and so on. It's a marvelous one. I don't know where you're coming from, but it's marvelous there. Okay, you have some disadvantages, you have natural challenges, but it's a very good basis of that. Yeah, sorry. That's the other side of the medal. That's a weakness. Sorry, open word. I have to apologize for you at once. Yeah, that's what I've mentioned before, and be conscious of that, be aware of that. That is dependent on the commodities export, especially China. Yeah? It's, in my point of view, you should reduce that risk. That's right. Not only some open words from a Singapore staff, like you. You know the dependence not only from China, or from the world market prices and so on. You have to say problem by Australia. Australia has no industry. I was often that, the same one. They have only the commodities and the natural resources. But I think in 2009 you have endorsed a law against that, and now with the smelters, the processing units, and now I think at the beginning of the next year you have not allowed that exports going on. It's a good decision. Absolutely. Totally agree. Absolutely. That's your resources, you know. You know, in the context of my last remarks, that's the last processing industry. Only in pharma, you see some textile industry here, but less more. That's the problem. But you need not only processing industries to do stuff. Well, again, you cannot rely on only doing. You need industry. The next one, in my opinion, there's a weakness also in the strength maybe also. A double meaning. Because the huge population. Have a look, you're all very, very young ladies and gents. And I think I've heard that 50% of the growing up Indonesian people are maybe under 35 years. That's a big challenge, because you need jobs. Well, not only very simple jobs like a waiter or in a store. You need very well-skilled like you, well-trained people for high sophisticated jobs. Look, what do you call that? You need industry. Or high sophisticated jobs, maybe as a lawyer and so on and so on, or the commercial sector. Yeah, not only three people all the time in my room, and 24 hours a week routine. It could be not the future for that. Sorry. Yeah, close your ears. The right term in Bahasa and not korupsi. What a coincidence. That's right. It's a joke. It would be very glad, and I would be very happy. Not only the new elected president, all the political representatives of future of your land would together eradicate, that's the right term, you understand. Eradicate, not stop, not refuse to eradicate the roots of corruption. It's like a disease with a very severe, all over, lasting, and more. Hopefully. And in addition, also, absolutely necessary, and we have got the information last week in Jakarta, that now, I think, next week, the new government will cut the subsidies of the fuels. And sorry, from my point of view, totally right. Totally. Okay, but to a project, investment planning, that the subsidies, especially, but accompanied by a welfare project. And I think it's also the policy of the new government. Yeah, the last one, hopefully we can improve that situation also. That's the project investment financing, very important on the side in Indonesia, because, first of all, in my point of view, that's a very special way to bank scheme in Indonesia. We have big banks, Gerhard, but they are not interested in, primarily, to invest in investment. Really, investment for mid-term and long-term. They are only interested, maybe it's not right. First, they interested in for consumer credit. Okay, it's a very simple job. You know the amount of the interest rates. We're about 30, 15, that we are. It's a very easy job to get the money, to get the profit through consumer credits and so on, and like electronics, a car, and so on. But it's not the future of your country. And that hopefully the new government and all the responsible persons in Indonesia will also pick up that problem, and hopefully we can solve the problem together. Government, people, and maybe some people like me. Opportunities, sorry. Emerging markets, no doubt. That's a positive status of the 250 million inhabitants or citizens, no doubt. Many German business partners ask me, what about your opinion, what about your statement about the future and the chances in Indonesia? No, that with a good preparation, professional preparation on that. You have the consumer market, of course, and you have the investment market also. I've mentioned some projects. You are the second biggest Asian country, China. China is a new land. the best. You have the target group, a very, very interesting target group, is the growing middle class. Not only going to Jakarta, they're going to Bandung, they're going to Surabaya, all the big cities. They're very, very big, they're coming from family. Yeah, it's a very impressive parking lot, but not only the consumer. More. And our representatives of our best well-reputed and companies all over the world. Our use we made is the German know-how and the German product and the German reputation. But with only one reduction for the German attitude. Please do not go to Please do not go to Indonesia with the fast, high, well-skilled, high-tech what the German industry can offer. They are totally different. Well, we have had the conversation with the For example, we had over the project meeting last week. We have discussed generators. But not generators in our family. Very, it's not my intention to offend you, it's obvious the way. Very simple. In remote places. You have no grid. Yeah, that's a problem. I know. You need a very simple, not a even it's too high, the price is turning up. You need a very simple one. And a storage system. You can deliver all the energy over the remote place. Only one. Right? Legal system, only one to understand this. You have to. Too long, inefficient. Bureaucracy at the same liability, Eric, three. There are three investment authorities that they are on our value of cover likely. No. So it's over actually the asset was not. But only this is the so far. Sorry, maybe very, very unpolite. We are waiting for the last solution. 2 weeks. My Maly investor sitting in market has every time told me and asked me by mail or what's the latest status of our home operate? 200 billion US. What about our recent project and investor? What are the things that are planned in the last 30 years? And I have to answer my acting respondent. Unfortunately, till now, come on. You understand? He's helping. We need investment. We need a competition all around the world. And read India, China, and so on. That's business. We need incentives, not effectively. To protect the market, the wrong. Open the market is theoretically beautiful, but offer probably investors taxation. Okay, sorry, full structure, better like this. But maybe that could, but hopefully we are also in a good development. What comes at MRT last year? So, great. Total project. So this is a couple of weeks. Malang to Suradika. Great. Doing a direct connection to Pampung to work. Not only Java Central, Java Timur, Java We need to take more in Sulawesi, we need to take more in Padang, and in Sumatra, in Palembang, Selatan, or in Riau, and so on and so on. Agreed? The infrastructure is significant. I've read in the newspaper, the Kopi has criticized the high logistic costs in Indonesia. Bringing your products to Hong Kong is much easier, and it's expensive, not expensive, going to from economy to Djibouti. Why? Political system, political scene, it's a very, very fragile problem. I've heard that in January next year, the new House of Representatives will have a debate regarding the cancelled law by the old House of Representatives regarding the direct votes of the local representatives. But only one of them, I hope to be able to do. That only one, 260 million. That is 260 million candidates. That's what it was. Can decide. Isn't there any problems? I see it also, I think, on the debate. It was a meeting, one doctor, very friendly, between the new ministers for the minority. And all the major groups are taking very important. What do you need? Ingo, please, after you graduated, after your finally your studies. Please, go to that field. That's very good one. Extremely good one. All kinds of energy. Renewable energy. Our farm. That's all you need. Road systems. Airports. To improve all the situations there. It's a huge country. That's the scale of Europe. From Portugal to Russia. Don't forget that. Okay, it's a good idea from the COVID. The commodity, no doubt. But the only solve the problem. Seaports, no doubt. Therefore, I think that's very, very good company for taxes, number, rates, and homes. Lack of public transport. I have mentioned MRT, not the old buses, broken legs. Yeah, you know, only one for information. 50 million, maybe 50 million citizens totally, I think 30 million in the monopoly region of the Koala. I've heard 5 million cars, 5 or 6 million bicycles and so on. More. That came all the time. That's the reason why I invite all my business partners to be on that. Have only 2 meetings per day. All the business models of mine, I am ready to come to sum it up. I have 5 meetings per day, you know? Because they have to reflect that. Here we go with those. Very, very promising one. Nothing less water there. Next one. Finish. Terima kasih. Thank you so much. Thank you. Or areas in Indonesia, you can browse your marvelous and amazing country. Thank you so much.
Okay, but first I would like to invite Mr. Winter to give also his presentation and his opinions and basically relax and tell what is your point of view of Indonesia and development and what can we do for you that Indonesia will welcome Germany for your investment and everyone here.
Tony, thank you very much. Good morning. Dear Ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, I was very glad and happy to receive the invitation to participate in today's event, because I believe it is important. It's a good event. For me, it has as well had a little bit the advantage I could come home, because I was living as well 13 years here in Cambodia. In my presentation, I would like to give you a little bit an overview first. What is Siemens doing? What challenges do we see in the world? Then I will come to that. How are we positioned in ASEAN? How do we cooperate already now with other countries? What challenges do we see in Indonesia? And there will be some of them you heard already before. And then I want to look as well a little bit ahead. What do we need as engineers, as management capabilities, as skilled workers in our factory? What can we offer there as well to the Indonesian society, to Indonesian young people to develop themselves? First, I want to introduce myself a little bit. You see here 6 pictures. I'm an engineer. I started in an engineering department. There you see an inverter, so I was deep in technology in. And then you see in the next box, you see 2 countries, China and Germany, and you see the ICE. I had the luck as a very young engineer on the prototype of ICE. I was doing some research work, and you can imagine whenever I now take the train, I remember that. That was really, really very great. And then later on, that is why there is a Chinese flag. I moved to China and was there in the transportation department, and we did a lot of transportation projects in China. Then I came back to Germany, back to Franconia here, where I was in the industry sectors, where I was producing, we with my industry automation equipment. And then the next one is here. I moved back to Asia, to Seoul, to Korea for 2 years, was heading there the Siemens operation, and then back to Germany, and I went to Berlin for 5.5 years, was heading the German sales and service organization, and from then I went to Munich, was there head of our compliance organization. The topic of integrity and values was a very important part during that time. I will come to that as well a little bit. And when we click to the next slide, there you see the lovely country where I'm now in, which I'm really happy to participate, because I think Indonesia has an excellent future in front of it. All the chances. The ambassador mentioned it this morning. The McKinsey evaluation said in the year 2030, 7th biggest economy in the world, 19 million additional middle-class consumers, more than Germany people has. Will it come in 2030 or will it come a little bit later? That is from my point not important. Important is, will it come or will it not come? And we, for our company, we believe it will come. And we want to prepare ourselves now that we are part of this, that we can contribute, that we can here develop, deliver our share into the contribution here on that challenging future that Indonesia has. Coming to the next slide, here you see a little bit an overview of Siemens. You see here the four big regions, Germany, Europe, the Americas, and Asia. And you see we are in all those regions. We are doing big business there. We have a lot of people. In overall, we are in more than 190 countries active. In many countries, we have a long, long history, more than 100, or as in Indonesia, more than 150 years. I will come to that later a little bit on. But if you see this, the business volume of 75 billion euro, roundabout, 360,000 people around the globe. How do you make sure that 360,000 people from Argentina till Canada, till South Africa, Korea, and Australia, that we have a common basis? How do you make sure that we stay one unit, that we have our shared values? And this is for a company very, very important that we have one culture. And that's why it's so important, and that you see on the next slide, our three values. If you click on here. And whenever you ask a colleague, if you go to Brazil, if you go to Chile, or if you go here to Nürnberg in our sales office, or you go to Moscow, innovation, excellence, and responsibility. That is the basis of what we are doing. Innovation does mean we want to offer the latest technology to our customers. And not because the latest technology is more nice, more funny, more modern. No. We see innovation that only makes sense if this creates advantage for the customer. If the customer can produce a car cheaper, faster, with a higher quality. If we can do a health care, a diagnosis for a patient, more precise, with higher quality. This goes hand in hand. And this innovation has been from the first days when Siemens was founded around about 160 years ago in a small garage in Berlin. It all started with innovation. And that is our lifeblood till today. Excellent. Excellent does mean for everybody in our company. Whether it's our CEO, whether it's a research engineer, or whether it's me. What does excellent mean for me? As the head of Siemens in Indonesia, I have to be better than the head of our competitors. Very simple, down to earth. Making sure that we are delivering the best service, product, solution to our customer. That he is happy because at the end, the customer is paying our salary. Nobody else. And responsibility, we are in the country a citizen. And we want to be a good citizen. By paying proper tax, by contributing to the society, creating value for the society, and of course, very, very important, following the law in the countries where we are in. That is for the good citizens. And these three values are the overall principle wherever you see Siemens in the world. What challenges do we see in the world, and what do we want to address with our solutions? One thing is urbanization. More and more people are living in cities. 2009, around about 50% of the worldwide population living in cities. In the year 2050, that will be 70%. And that requires specific solutions. Climate change. The decade 2010 was the warmest decade since ever recorded. We are using 50% more resources at the moment than the Earth can provide. We have to take care of the planet. Demographic change. Population in the world is growing. Last year, around a little bit more than 7 billion. In the year 2050, nearly 10 million people. People are getting more old, which I think, for me personally, and specifically as you are younger than me, is a great future if you stay healthy, that you can enjoy your life even when you're old. If you are healthy, then it's really great fun. And the last topic, globalization. In the year 2030, China will be a bigger economic power than the US. Brazil will pass Japan. All these topics here, we call them mega trends because they happen all around the globe, in Europe, in Asia, and wherever, and they are not reversible. And out of this, we see our future as Siemens. Where do we want to contribute and where do we want to deliver solutions to our customers? And if you go to the next slide, you see here in the center 9 divisions where we are working in. Power generation, whether it's renewable, whether it's steam, whether it's coal, whether it's gas. That is important to protect our climate. We have to make sure that we produce power in an environmental friendly way, reliable and affordable. That is what we are targeting with the first 3 months. Energy needs to be distributed from the power plant to the final consumer, to the cities. Building and mobility, both are required technology if cities are growing. We need efficient transportation facilities in the big cities in Indonesia. Indonesia has more than 10 cities with more than 1 million inhabitants. Cities need transportation. You cannot do it all with cars. You need cars, yes. You need streets, yes. But you need as well public transport, railways, streetcars, MRT. Then coming to our factory plants, to this topic of globalization. We want to produce in a, let's say, in a high-scale basis. For example, if you go to an automotive factory, there if you go to Mercedes, nearly every 2 minutes, the car is coming out. And every car is different. Every car is different. Highest quality. For that, you need really technology behind to make sure that you have here a stable process. That is the topic what we are addressing with our industry area. And last but not least, the healthcare. I believe as well in Indonesia, a big market. Middle class will ask for high quality healthcare, and still at the moment, many wealthy Indonesians, if they have a health problem, they go to Bangkok, they go to Singapore, and do it there. This is a topic can be done as well in Indonesia. Huge growth for VCL potential. And you see as well here around how important is our R&D. We are spending, you see that every year more than 4 billion euro in R&D. 70% of our products and solutions, what we are selling now, are younger than 5 years. This does mean there is a huge pressure on us in 5 years to develop new products. If we don't do that, we are out of the market. Let's go to the next slide. This was recently announced, the Siemens Vision 2020. Our CEO, our boss, said we want to prepare our company for a long-term development. And through traditional areas where we were so fine, and where we have an absolute leading position, is electrification and automation. But there is a totally new topic coming up in business, in industry. That is the topic of digitalization. Just look round about 15 years back. At that time, maybe some of you were too young at that time. A mobile was just there to talk and maybe to send an SMS and no more. And see now what we are doing with our, whether it's Apple's or whether it's our Samsung Galaxy S5 or S4. This morning when I was searching for this place, I didn't have my car, didn't have a GPS, and, I did it just with my Samsung. And I got feedback, what is with lazy, how is the traffic situation, how long does it take? There's a huge amount of data available, as well in the industry, which at the moment we are not using, where we can generate more and more customer benefit. And this will heavily impact factories, hospitals, energy management systems in all ways. And this we see as a totally new market that is coming on, which is growing, maybe more than double that size what we see the growth in electrification and automation. And that's why this topic is so important for us, and that is what we at Siemens are targeting with our vision 2020. Because the world around us is changing. And if we want to be in the next 10 years as well ahead of our competitors, we better prepare now. And this we are doing with Vision 2020. On the next slide, you can see a picture, how are we presented in ASEAN. And there you can see that we are in nearly all countries in Indonesia and Singapore are the biggest ones, and we are helping each other. For example, we are having in Singapore a center of competence for oil and gas. When we need specialists, we get them from Singapore. We have a center of competence for transmission, for high voltage applications. We send the Indonesian engineers to Philippines, to Vietnam, to Thailand, or to Malaysia. We are having a factory in Cilegon. I will come to that later. We are producing energy components. We are having a factory for medium voltage in Jakarta, where we will have next year our 30th, 40th anniversary. We are producing 40% for Indonesia and 60% for the export. So we have quite a strong cooperation between the different countries, as well in our programs to develop our own people, to train them. We are sending them across. We have common training classes. We are working together in international teams. So for us, this ASEAN community, which in Siemens, we live already a little bit, but as we heard this morning from Dr. Friedrich, I'm sure this will boost the development of Indonesia a lot. Indonesia being around about 50% of all ASEAN. That is a real powerhouse in ASEAN. And Indonesia has to make sure that we are using this opportunity. On the next slide, you see a little bit how long are we in Indonesia. And that is really today, still for me, there's something like a miracle. Our company was 8 years old in Berlin, middle of the 19th century. 8 years old. When an engineer went to his boss and said, I want to sell and commission a device in Indonesia. It will take me around about 3 months to travel there. Then it's a very dangerous trip. I don't know whether I will survive that. And then maybe I need half a year to convince the customer and to install. And then if I'm very lucky, I will survive the trip back again. So 1 year later I come back and hopefully it's a success. And his boss at that time said, go for it. I'm still questioning myself if somebody would come to me now, or if I would go now with such an idea to my boss whether I would receive as well. But that was the entrepreneurship. More than 160 years, we are doing more than 150 years, we are doing business in Indonesia. And since that time, we set up our office, we set up 3 factories. We are having now 2,100 employees in factories, engineers, commercial, lawyers, in different management functions. And that I can tell you is a real headache for me to develop more Indonesian managers. That I am as a German, having Siemens in Indonesia is not the best solution. My task is, for my boss, to develop an Indonesian colleague to take over. As we had it in Japan. The head of Siemens in Japan is a Japanese guy. If we look to India, it's an Indian guy. If we look to the US, it's an US guy. If we look to Brazil, it's a Brazilian guy. Why not in Indonesia? And that is the topic why for us, people development, it's so important that we get the best people on board, and those ones that we have on board, that we train them, that they stay with us. Because we in Siemens can offer huge career opportunity. I come to that later, what we are looking for that. If we go to the next slide here, that is one factory that we have in Chilagon since 25 years. We are producing components for power plants. And that is not low end. That means highly skilled workers, highly skilled engineers to produce it. You see those equipment, huge one. We are having the world record in our factory in Chilagon. The ever biggest condenser that you see here on the left-hand side. The condenser you need in big power plants to handle steam, for components. The ever in the world built biggest condenser comes out of Indonesia. So it's not learning. And that condenser you can see now is operating in Europe. From Chilagon, we send it to Europe. And we are continuously investing into that factory because if we compare the results, quality, cost, and output with other factories that we have, we are very competitive. Our problem is, do we get enough skilled labor, skilled engineers, and good training people? And I'm very happy for that, the ambassador, that you as well encourage us so much that we do more on this field to train people. Every year in Indonesia, 3 million additional young people are looking for jobs. That is a huge advantage. But if we are not able to deliver those jobs, it can become a huge problem. If you have a big amount of young people not having a work, not having a future, then it's very bad for them. Here we come to the challenge of the new government that we have. Some of the challenges you see here, you mentioned before, I think. Maybe one topic, lack of infrastructure. Indonesia invested in the last 10 to 15 years 2 to 3% of their GDP into infrastructure. The recommendation from international agencies is that the country should invest 6 to 8%. Now you can imagine over a time span of 10 to 15 years how big it is. And I think we all were very happy to see that the new government put that really on the agenda. Let's not expect that the government can solve this all within 1 or 2 years. But it's important that we start. That we start with this and that we do it. Indonesia needs more than 60 gigawatt additional power. In oil and gas, the investment in the next 10 years, the demand is around about 300 billion US dollars. You have an excellent future in front of you. You are part of it. You can change the world. Indonesia, I believe, is a very hot place now to be in because you can realize, you can do something. I was heading from Germany a couple of years ago. When we had in Germany 2% growth, we believe we are the kings. You are in a different environment. And I think that is an excellent chance for you. And as well, going abroad, studying abroad, is an excellent experience. Use this experience that you can take back to your country, what the country did for you. That is my biggest headache where I am, people development. Not enough management capability. We have much too much experts at the moment. But we need to make sure that we train our people, that we get the best people on board, and therefore we are offering training programs that those people can develop themselves, get a good chance to be prepared for interesting jobs. And if you come to us, you work in international teams. You have to work together with colleagues from Singapore, from China, from Brazil, from Canada, from Houston, from Germany, and who like that, who think that is fun. He is definitely right within our company. And the second topic, you always need to learn. I'm now 30 years with the company. I'm learning every day. And if I would have a job where I cannot learn, I would be totally bored. Maybe here we go through, that is too much time consuming. Here we have, click through that side, here we have a process, a very structured process, how we develop our people. Setting targets, identifying training needs, supporting them, after time, seeing are we on a good track, that we can develop these people. That is a worldwide concept that we are using in Indonesia as well. And for those ones in our team, the world is open. We send colleagues to China, we send some to Germany, even to the US. Very international opportunities that you are having there. And what are we looking for? People, maybe we can pick again, and one more. Innovation. Very, very important for us. That is what we need. We are looking for people who are keen to discover new things, as well to be prepared to make a mistake. Because if you go something for the first time, you are never sure whether you can make it. Open minds. You have to work in international teams together. I think that is a huge advantage because it makes life interesting. You are working together with people who are totally different from a totally different background. And we realize teams that are diverse, where we have different people with different backgrounds and different cultures, these teams are more successful. That's why it's so important that we have open-minded people. Personalities. Of course, we need people here who want to shape the world, who are prepared to take a risk. It all comes back to our founder, Werner von Siemens, who already was pushing for these topics. Innovation, he was the first, we can call it now, the so-called pointer telegraph, where you could send text messages over a long distance without any delay. We could see that was the first prototype of an SMS that he was designing in the middle of the 19th century. Responsibility. He took care for his people. He invented the system of insurance for families where the father who was working, where he had transport. It was invented by Dharmaji. And excellence at a very early stage, going close to the customer. So far, this summary here, I really want to express this again to you. Indonesia has huge chances. A lot of homework needs to be done. And I think being part of this, for me, that is excellent, living in this country and supporting this development, I really like it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Mr. Winter for very inspiring talk. It was a very pleasure to hear it from you that you invest a lot of time to support the students also here and to say that what you really think is very important for Indonesia. And before we start with the question and answer from the audience, I have some remarks and maybe one or two questions for both of the speakers. Namely that you already mentioned that the challenge what we see in Indonesia, like for example infrastructure and the human resource and also the government's problems, the politics and everything, and also the need of innovations. What kind maybe is the trend from Indonesia, from the younger generation, I say call them young, that actually also this Indonesia needs some ideas. That's what the first thing they need. Not immediately the problem, how to solve the problem, but really the basic ideas. You know that Germany is a land of ideas. That was a very big land of ideas. But this is very important for Indonesia to have first the idea and also the ideas how to finance the ideas. Right? And this is very, very, I know that what many of the people are thinking that if we do that, it is very complicated and how to finance it. That we do need to have these ideas and how to finance these ideas. So do you have an opinion of what kind of basic ideas very important for Indonesia instead of the high technology, but they want to know from the beginning how to make a small telegraphic function and how to build a machine, because even I'm sorry to say that if I ask Indonesia how to cook rice without rice cooker, they have already problems. So this is also the idea how to manage the water and the rice. It's even such a basic things. We do need maybe your opinion on that. So you want to start?
Financing is a big topic. And if we look a little bit back to the past, we just mentioned that Indonesia, I mentioned, has 10 cities, more than 1 million people, and they all are looking for that transit system. And the idea is to finance this with public-private partnership. There's a private owner who spends in his money and is running the streetcars or the metro or whatever. And this doesn't work. And that is not a surprise. Because there is nearly no city in the world that has a mass transit system that is earning money. And if you want to ask an investor to invest money, he only does it if there is a return of investment. I think that is very, very important, that really for these projects, there are some projects where the government needs to invest and to spend the money and to subsidize, because at the end, the government will see a much better development. And it's rather complex to explain it. Why is it for the government reasonable to invest and not for a private person? Maybe I draw a picture. Let's assume here's a metro line from A to B, and here are some stations. If I'm now the investor and build the metro line, I pay all for the money, for the construction side, for the electromechanical and all parts. And how do I get a return on invest? Just by tickets, by ticket sale. And that is never enough to pay that money back. If the government is investing this line, what happens here, in this area? The value of the houses, of the grounds, is heavily increasing. And the government gets a payback via tax. And that's why there is the ticket sales to earn that investment, and by tax, because the whole area will prosper. And that's why it's so important that the government understands that we are doing it. And if we see Indonesia, the state itself has a very, very sound and good financial basis. 24 or 25% of the GDP, Indonesia has a debt. In Europe, in average more than 100%, or 200 even. So there is a huge amount of investment for that. And that is something where Indonesia really needs to invest. And I can see it today with my own people. Some of them in the morning going to the office, 2.5 hours. That's a waste of time, and that is really a burden for further development. And that is really a key point, that we are doing this, and therefore I think it's good that the government is trying to allocate money, which was before for fuel subsidy, having that money in the future for infrastructure projects. Who is benefiting from fuel subsidy? I'm driving a car and I'm able to buy cheaper fuel. I don't need it, I don't want it. And I think the government is now tackling this for the poor people, to help them what is really necessary, and then use those resources into infrastructure. That, I believe, is absolutely the right step to make sure that Indonesia will have a real boost.
Thank you very much. I give the opportunity to Mr. Merkel to how long? 7 minutes.
Let us start. In my point of view, the most important thing is not that you or the Indonesians or someone else has no ideas. I can't agree. You have the ideas. First of all. Not really for government. You have the ideas. Well-trained, well-skilled people there. Get to know them, and that's not the problem. The problem is to finance it. And I totally agree with you, Josef, that's the shift for attitudes. Yeah, but we have discussed after tariffs and so on, and the new shifting of the attitudes, new tasks and so on. Wonderful ideas and very successful, also for our business in Indonesia with PPPs. But you need strong partners on the Indonesian side, on the local and on the governmental level. And once again, that's my opinion, to acquire investors. Once again, that was the same sentence I mentioned before. You need no protection of your market. Totally safe. Sorry. Many countries have tried the same policy. I have to say, the policy sector that was not successful. What you need is incentives and not too much decision makers and not too much decision weights. That's the same what I mentioned also in my lecture. And I'm for the ministry, have authority in the staff authority in the director general. And you guys, I have said that the rural government. You're going to go to the capital and you have a money. And you have also and you have to treat this in something. Or not, sorry. So, that's the problem. You have to reduce the time for executing, time for carrying out. That's my problem. We have ideas. Maybe we can deliver, we can supply at the time, no problem like it. That's not the problem. Not the focus. The focus is not only, sorry, maybe I'm providing maybe sometimes Indonesian mentality, planning all the time. A new plan. And additional plan. And now we are planning that only to solve. Now we are planning till 2020. Maybe next year we can start with plans 2030. That's a good one. And now we are planning maybe to 2050. I think it was sorry. And maybe a regulation for authority, and ask authority what we have done every day. We are planning. That's okay. No, that's not true. It's not true. Once again, let me summarize. No planning, reduce the decision makers and decision weights, and to bring out the accelerate the process. That's it. For example, we have example from the Poland. First of all, it's international standard but not for long. The need for a floating tender for the pre-qualification, for the technical specifications, and so on. Maybe in Indonesia we need 2 or 3. No? It's incredible, so no? And the floating, blah. And maybe after the average maybe 3, 4, 5 years, you will get that board of the tender 5 years. 5 years, so there's no time. Once again, we are collaborating with a very huge construction building companies all over the world. It's a big companies, but they have 35,000 workers all over that. And they are very interested in going to Indonesia. Very high standard of create jobs, engineering services, and so on. Not only bringing the workers coming from abroad or from Europe. But I heard we have a discussion with the Prof authority, and they've worked that time already. Now, totally shocked. And they are working that experience. They are working in South America and so on. They are gaining much experience in the United States. 5 years. For a project maybe for 60 kilometers. No trenches, no tunnels, regarding new special requirements. All for a 4-lane track. And you know that's the slogan of Chicago, buy in one shop. You heard it? Buy in one store, that's true. In Israel has to go to only one authority. And the authority is responsible and speak, accelerates the process, all the decisions on one hand. And the authority's task, the authority's goal is collect all the information as of the applicant and bring it to the investors. So,
Thank you very much. I would like to open question to audience, and just a remark that you can give the question in English, but if you feel more comfortable to speak in Indonesian, I will translate it in German. Okay, so you first. This is the microphone. Please don't forget to say your name and the background.
Good morning. Very interesting from both of you. My name is Ingo. I'm doing my doctoral degree in Jena, Uni Jena. First of all, I'd like to share a same view with a documental about the basic needs of Indonesian market, like tourism market. That if you talk of Indonesia, for example, we don't need, in this model, don't need like a very sophisticated devices, more cheaper, it is cheaper, more accessible, and energy devices, for example. And having said that, I'd like to ask you, Mr. Winter, when these companies like Siemens here, already have so many experience in the Asian market in Indonesia, in terms of engineering. Do you think that that's a vision that you need to build R&D center in Indonesia, not only in Singapore, due to the fact that Indonesian market has a very specific needs, like what Dr. Merkel said, what you guys shared with you. I agree with that very much. It's like what is it, an autonomous body of R&D, because it will require different way of thinking in terms of developing new products or solutions. Because in terms of human resource, I believe that we have not only engineers, we still have difficult to find good engineers in a sufficient numbers or more. But also in sciences, we have scientists. If you look at ITT or look at ITS or another university, you can find good scientists there in terms of to do the research as well. So it's not only asking, but I would like to make this suggestion. Why doesn't the company like this with an R&D facility to serve? And I think I understand that as a big company, you also are profit-seeking entity. And do you think it's also possible that you build an R&D lab or any facility in Indonesia? That's my question.
Thank you very much for that question, and specifically the topic with the sophisticated devices. I heard that from you as well before. And here I would say I totally disagree. Because if you, for example, are looking for a power plant, and you say we don't want to go for the most modern technology, you save a little bit money in the purchasing. But then you have a device which is running with a lower efficiency. And that is very expensive. If you save money at the beginning, you want to buy cheap at the beginning, you pay too much money at the end. And I think Indonesia has two projects where that was very obvious. One was the first 10,000 megawatt project, where the Indonesian government purchased from China steam power plants, very, very cheap, now very, very expensive, because less than 50% is working, and those one that is working is running in a lousy efficiency. If you now see total life cycle cost, and that is what at the end is important. That was a very, very, very expensive cost saving. So, but therefore you have to understand what does it mean, innovation. Innovation is only really a good innovation. It creates advantage for the customer. And not because it's just modern. No. Can I do something cheaper, more flexible, higher quality? So therefore, this is very, very important that Indonesia learns out of this. And the other project was recent one last year when Indonesia bought buses from China. I don't know whether you heard of it. Yeah. So in both examples, you can see that saving money at the beginning is wrong. That you should, and the government is more, I hope that we do it more consistently in the future, is looking for total life cycle costs. What does it mean over the whole life cycle, what is my cost? And not focusing only on one element. That is regarding this topic technology. The second one, regarding your idea of the research center. Yes, of course, the country with 250 million people needs their resources in the country. But let's make sure we are doing it step by step. At the moment, we are having the problem that in our factory, we don't have the right welders. We train them, we educate them, and we had recently a case, and I can share it with you. There was a specific welder with a specific core certificate. A competitor came out of the oil and gas area. They were obviously in a desperate need. They went to him and said, please come to us. And no, I'm fine with you. We double your salary. The colleague said, I was very surprised. No, I stay with Siemens. Then they said, we triple your salary. And then, of course, he went. Of course. And we said to him, go. We can never pay them. They were in a desperate need. But the problem is we have to make sure that we get more skilled workers, good engineers. That is the first step in doing this. And let's make sure that we are not doing the third step before the first step. R&D will be a topic. But we will never be able to design or to do a totally new development of a product only for Indonesia. If we build, let's say, a steam turbine only for Indonesia, it will be a hell of expensive because we don't have the numbers if we don't sell it in the world. Today's innovations are so complex, are so expensive. We are working together with different universities around the globe. Even sometimes with competitors, we are doing research activities together because it's so expensive. Research does mean you are working in a network. And of course, in the future, Indonesia will have its place therein with 250 million. But what we need at the moment, that we are educating a huge amount of young people, 50% below 29 years, that we better educate them, that we do a very good skilled labor education, that we do a good research of engineer education. We are doing, of course, projects in Indonesia as well in research adaptation, but then you gradually develop into that. And that is the way what Siemens will do. But it doesn't make sense to do the third step before the first. Then we are totally failed. Thanks for the question.
So the second question? Okay, yes, there is.
Only one or two remarks regarding
To purchase the cheapest product is totally the wrong. Okay. Why is that? It's a question of market. You have to trade that. You know, all the countries all over South Africa. I think it's a question of mind of change. Because it's a big difference to purchase a cheap one or the economic solution, because the economic includes more, only the price. Includes, for example, the highest standard in maintenance services. The big problem also in Indonesia. I've seen, for example, one real example in Jakarta. Maybe you know Jakarta is the Sultan Hotel. You got it? Nearby the exhibition center. Old one. The old Hilton Hotel, 5-star. It's the beginning of the exhibition center. Have a look right now. The old full standard. But it's not depends on, caused by very, very bad constructions conditions due to setup. No, absolutely awful, poor maintenance. And you've seen that example all over Indonesia. But not Indonesia, because it's enough to say. A brand new machine, for example, German like DZ, for example, we have discussions with the head over last Monday, and you have to go there, maybe for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And the machine is gone. And that's a big difference to cheap and to purchase cheap or economic. That's the first of all. But you have to learn that, I think, in the first lecture of economics. My students have learned that. The second one is the German aphorism: when you purchase cheap, you will purchase nothing. Don't forget that sentence. And all have a project, hydropower in Suradika. And the project initiator is from Color Group. He's coming to me. He's a nephew of Josef Color. And we have discussed that issue. That was the same problem. The Chinese, it's not my intention to insult the Chinese, no way. But that's the same problem. The Chinese has promised and no problem. Every nonsense, every problem. We get it. Right? In time, on time, plan. Fast. Small birds and all. Nothing. 2 years later, that project was come out. Not Chinese people. Japan. Don't buy. Purchase. Because purchase.
Thank you. So, please, don't forget to mention them.
My name is Ulrich. I'm studying medical engineering at Stutt. And I have 2 questions. First question for Dr. Merkel. As you just told us, your past and current activities are infrastructure, energy, waste management, tourism, and so on and so forth. My question is, what do you think about medical industry in Indonesia? And what is your prediction about medical industry development in Indonesia? And the second question is for Josef. What is for you the biggest challenge for specifically in healthcare in Indonesia? Is it the low number of medical institutions in Indonesia? Is it the residence of the people? Or the laws and regulations? Or thank you.
For your kind information, I have mentioned that we have business fields like healthcare. In the Arab states, in Arab countries like Oman, United Arab Emirates, we are not interested in, I will explain. We are not interested in the go to Indonesia regarding the medical health sector. Here's the perspective. We are private actors. And because we have got some inquiries regarding set-up hospitals in Indonesia. But it's a very, very big problem with all investments. We need 20, 25, 30% equity. And you have a local investment. And the average is not willing or is not able to deliver that. You need high standard or what? You need Indian standard, you need Thailand standard. Josef has mentioned many earning guys and ladies are going to Bangkok. I know Bangkok hospital very well. So we are part of the state. It's a acceptable standard, include the English, accommodations, okay, no problem. So you can go maybe to Australia. But why? You need not only the investment for the hospital, you need the investment for the best doctors, for the best equipment and more. That's the problem. This is interesting. Hopefully,
you were asking me regarding the biggest challenges. I thought a little bit about, because it gave me some time to think about that question. I would see it in two areas. One is day-to-day in our business environment. If on one hand, Indonesia is huge, east to west, 6,000 kilometers from Aceh to Papua, and north to south, 2,000 kilometers. Having here the right market transparency for our sales organization as well. And this comes back then again to the people. How systematic are we able to address us, to identify early projects that we together with the customer can specify the right solution for the right application. Many customers are asking for financing. That is a topic that many hospitals have problems with financing with. That's why we are setting up a financing arm that we in the future are able to offer leasing to those hospitals. This does mean they don't have to pay the device, which might cost 500,000 euros, not at once. We give them the equipment and they pay a monthly fee to us based on their revenue. That gives them the advantage to overcome the financial burden. In principle, what I see in Indonesia is the market of healthcare that is very much regulated and it's very difficult for foreign doctors operating in Indonesia. And I think this as well is a topic of training and trust of patients to the medical system in Indonesia. That's why the rich people go abroad, because they don't have the trust. And I think that is an issue which is important. Indonesia has to work on it. At the end, that will be a huge gain for Indonesia. Many doctors, when they were young, came to Germany, were trained here in Nürnberg, in Munich, in Heidelberg, in Gießen, quite a lot of. But as well, Indonesia should open for that thing, there could be better training. That this is a huge market. You can see there was a former Siemens guy who is now an entrepreneur. He opened 2 weeks ago in Kuningan in Jakarta a diagnostic center where he is offering health checks to people in Indonesia, and he is having behind him the best Indonesian doctors and as well doctors abroad. And he sees this as a huge business because there is a huge demand for high quality healthcare. That guy has in mind to open 10 diagnostic centers in Indonesia in the next year. That is a huge market for Indonesia. So if you are doing medical engineering, that's in the practice. Yes.
Only one sentence in addition. Maybe one more fact is or reason is for lack of existing effective healthcare insurance. next. I'm very fond about the initiative of Czechoslovakian former Czechoslovakia, and now it's two calls. Two calls now issued by the government of Indonesia. But it's, come on, 2 or 3 years. Here.
Now, maybe would like to give the opportunity to you question.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Hartono. I'm from Universitas Airlangga, Surabaya. So, actually, I want to ask you, Mr. Marco. So, there's an issue that next year, in 2015, we will face the new regulation that is called ASA, some kind of ASEAN free trading. Yeah. So there will be products from another country that coming into our country freely. So what do you think about it? I mean, what's your opinion about our original products? For example, from agriculture products, and then also for labor, I mean for human resources, especially in health workers, because in Indonesia, the skill of health workers is different from the other countries. I mean, I mentioned about different, I don't mention about lower skill. So, what do you think about it? It will be a big opportunity for us, or it will be a threat for us? Okay, it will be a big opportunity for us, or it will be a threat one for us. So, what's your opinion about it? Thank you.
Fundamentally, such a contract, such a agreement. Once again, fundamentally, such agreement, such a contract, like ASEAN, open the markets are a positive gesture, a positive sign for all the countries there involved. But be aware, of course, such an agreement depends also the power of the involved countries. Problem maybe for the small countries, bigger countries like China and so on. Once again, not my intention to defend China, but what is told in China, I know the mentality of the Chinese very well. I'm not sure, very polite guy, I'm not sure that not only Chinese, maybe the South Koreans, the Japanese also, but I'm not sure that they are interested firstly for fair trade and for fair economic exchange. You're not so far from China, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Yes. I know the Vietnamese economic very well also. And that's the same problem. In former times, I was often in Myanmar for about 50 years ago was my first visit there. The most closed country. Now I've done from Rangoon to Mandalay, Mandalay to Palma. I'm also part of I need a special permit for that. Why? All the trade mines and all the valuable resources from Myanmar. And I've seen all in Mandalay, for example, I've seen the big UVs. Okay. And you were sitting driving that car. No Myanmar. Not always not China. And they have planned, you know that, hopefully. And they have planned for 3 or 4 years in another part of Myanmar a huge dam project. They have to do with everything. Finance, resources, manpower, everything. But hopefully you know who will be the candidate. That project is cancelled by the Myanmar regime because it came to mind. They have the Vulcan life interpretation. The Vulcan in 1 second and say, come on, what's going on with our country? It's a colony of China. Food takes a colony. Not a mutual. I heard it was mutual. Only that's what it is. Think about that.
I think regarding this new trade zone, we will see the devil is in the people. It will take some time for that. And I think we should remember what we heard this morning on the facility. Where he as well mentioned what did Germany do by opening up borders, what did Europe do by opening up borders, and that there is not a division which only has positive things, there are side effects, there are risks. But there is a saying, if there is a heavy storm, some people are building a house to protect. Others are taking the sail and using the storm to move ahead. And I think it's better to take an active part than this push. I think that's much, much better. Of course, be carefully, think carefully, but make sure that you are part of the change, that you are driving the change, and that not the change is driving you. That is uncomfortable.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I have power. Where's the power?
Use the wind.
Unfortunately, we have a limited time budget, so but maybe one short question. I give you the.
What do you think about the digital creative industry content in Indonesia? So nowadays, Indonesia should face the era of intelligence and with the target of the new generation. So what do you think about the digital creative content industry? And for Mr. Winter, I have a question. The assignment has the value is consists of excellent, responsibility, and innovative. So what kind of value marketing of the assignments? Because value marketing consists of value exploration, the value creation, and the value delivery. What kind of value marketing implementation of the assignments? Yes. Question for Mr. Miller about the industry, digital creative content industry. And the second question about the value marketing implementation by Siemens. Sorry.
You want to repeat once more, maybe in Indonesia, so that you can translate it.
Okay. Sekarang ini kan lagi era konvergensi. Konvergensi itu dimana ada generasi yang baru. Bagaimana pendapat dari kita? sorry, tentang digital creative industry content untuk ekonomi kedepannya di Indonesia. Terus kalau dari Mr. Peter, strategi marketing apa sih sehingga bisa menciptakan value dari produk perusahaan film itu? Karena because the value marketing consists of value exploration, value delivery, and the value exploration. What kind of value marketing?
Okay. I'm not sure to understand the question of the intent of the question. Not yet. So, you spoke for, I said so far that your question was going in this way, what about changing in the population, and what maybe your path in the future, and so on. Yes, that's correct. Once again, you are the elite of one majority here. You are the leader of the Indonesian people. Don't forget that. You have the privilege to study abroad, to getting to know your new culture, your mentality, and so on. Use it. So they have so many privileges. You're speaking, for example, we need such racing guys like you, really. I think 95% of my partner in Indonesia has studied in Germany, graduated in Germany, speaking fluent in German, fluent English, because it's absolutely necessary for to have an absolute best connection. You need that qualification. I'm not interested in to require to recruit an Indonesian lady or Indonesian guy speaking no German, because he has had no inside knowledge, getting the inside knowledge in the German mentality, like vice versa. I have mentioned that I'm living for 25 years in Indonesia, and I think I know a little bit about the Indonesian culture and something. But it's absolutely necessary for negotiations, conversations, and so on. It's absolutely necessary, and vice versa too. That's your qualification. That's your new skill. It's not free. You're living here. Look at the people here of the culture, the mentality, and so on. Use it. That's your power.
Let me try to answer that topic with our three values: excellence, responsibility, and innovation. First of all, excellence. It's so important that we are promising, for example, the customer, we are doing a project, that we execute this in time and in budget, and that we earn money, that we are able to invest in new innovations. Therefore, excellence is important, that we create money for future R&D projects. If we do it for innovation, it only makes sense if this has an advantage. Take, for example, healthcare. There are different types of breast cancer, and there is different types of treatment. And very often you don't know what is the right treatment. And it takes many, many weeks to see whether a medicine is having the right effect or not. We have an innovation. If we detect it, we give the medicine, and immediately then we can recognize whether this medicine has the right effect. So we are not losing a couple of weeks, and if you treat it in the wrong way, the cancer is getting worse and more dangerous. So therefore, this money that we earn via executing our project is profitable. leads into innovation that creates advantage for the customer. Because you as a patient, you want to be sure if you take medicine, that the medicine has the right effect, and that you not have to wait maybe 3 months to see whether the cancer is reduced or not. So that's why excellence and innovation belongs to that. And now we come to this point of responsibility. We don't want to win the order because we pay the higher price. No, we want to win the order because our offer is better. And we want our people not to say, I cannot pay something because I'm not allowed. We want our people to say, I don't want to pay anything because it's against my pride. It's a question of pride. That you say, I want to have the better solution for the customer. And therefore these 3 topics, excellence to earn money for innovation, and having innovation to create an advantage for the customer, all these 3 topics belong very, very close together. And if we have a project where there is no way than doing dirty things, then we say to our people, we don't do it. And that sales guy who cannot secure the order, he does not get problems. It's exactly the opposite. We tell him, you did the right thing. Because this is as well responsible, that we want to react responsible, following the law, and winning in a fair competition. Because at the end, if you have dirty business, if you have corruption, it's stealing money from the poorest of the poor in the country. And therefore, these 3 values are really very down to earth and very practically giving us very good ideas. Does this cover your question? Good. Thanks.
I think it's, we can continue discussion later in the break if you more. But now I would like to thank the speakers for their time and giving all their opinions for the condition. So we will have a coffee break. So we will come back here in about 15 minutes. It will be in 12:25.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. First, we'd like to give memento to Dr. Merkel and Ms. Suradika, which will be handed over by the President of the PIH.